Welcome to the program, everyone. I'm Brian Craig, always joined by my wife and co-host Kathy. Thanks for tuning in, everyone. Well, so much of what the Democrats are doing, well, really the uniparty. It's not Democrat and Republican anymore, right? There's Trump, MAGA, that's us. And then there's the uniparty, right? And one of the many things they've been doing, people talk about one world and globalism and everything, and that's all true. But what they're really doing is surrendering our nation and wiping out our culture. And you see a lot of this that's more obvious than this story, but this story is huge, that, they take down a monument, take down Civil War memorials and things like this. And anytime they take down a statue, a monument or anything, they're wiping out a piece of history. And there's a lot of talk like in the Capitol building, it's a sacred area and all this stuff, although with what happened with that Senate aid over the weekend, it doesn't seem too sacred to me. But there were certain American companies and institutions that have a very important role in the history of the United States. And something has happened with one of them, which symbolically is just awful. Now, unfortunately, there were not very many World War II veterans left, with us. The few World War II veterans that are left alive are, super old. There aren't enough of them young enough and everything else to stand up for this. Or maybe they'll surprise us. They defeated the Nazis and the Japanese, so maybe some of these old timers will stand up to this. This is a big one. Let me read this story. This is from Breitbart. The United States Steel Corporation, which played a critical role in helping the Allies defeat the Empire of Japan and Nazi Germany in the Second World War, is now being sold to Japan's largest steel maker. Early on Monday, executives with U.S. Steel.
Who started that? Was that Carnegie or Morgan? Or
one of those blue bloods.
One of
I don't
those
know which
guys
one.
from the Gilded Age.
Early on Monday,
that.
executives with U.S. Steel and Nippon Steel Corporation announced the nearly $15 billion with a B dollar deal, which vows to uphold U.S. steel worker labor union contracts. Yeah, right.
J.P. Morgan and Charles Schwab.
Yeah, there you go.
Started that company.
This merger will be completed the middle of 2024. Shareholders for U.S. Steel still must give their stamp of approval, so it's not a done deal yet. Following news of the deal, the president of the United Steelworkers blasted the decision. He says the same greedy, short-sighted attitude that this guided U.S. Steel for far too long. It goes on and on.
Well, let me give a little history real quick. U.S. Steel was created in 1901 through a merger when a group led by J.P. Morgan and Charles Schwab, two of the world's leading financiers at the time, bought the company from Carnegie. I thought it was Carnegie.
Yeah.
And combined it with their holdings in its rival, Federal Steel. Okay, so U.S. Steel. Right. So it goes even back before 1901. There were steel companies, and then they, I guess, bought out their competition, which is what they do. And so U.S. Steel's been around since 1901.
Yeah. So U.S. Steel was one of the most important companies during the Second World War.
And probably the first I would think.
Yeah, the ships and weapons and everything else that were used by all the Allies, not just the United States, in the war. A lot of it came from U.S. Steel, most of it. And without U.S. Steel, we may not have won the war. The reason we won the war is not just because we were far removed from the combat areas, but because we had a massive industrial economy here with companies like U.S. Steel. Yeah. And I personally feel it's a disgrace that a company that was so important in winning the Second World War is now going to be owned by the enemy of the United States in the Second World War, and that's the Japanese. Symbolically, that's outrageous. And
it's strange.
I'm not alone. I know a lot of people agree with this, but surprisingly, I never thought this would happen. John Fetterman agrees with MAGA. It's like John Fetterman's been red-pilled. Let me play this. This is Fetterman.
He also thinks Menendez should be booted out. I don't know what's going on with him.
He's been red-pilled.
I guess so.
Absolutely. This is Fetterman talking about the Japanese purchase of U.S. Steel.
I'm standing on the roof of my home right here in Braddock, Pennsylvania, right across the street from the Edgar Thompson plant. And I just have to say it's absolutely outrageous that they have sold themselves to a foreign nation and a company. Can't do that. Steel is always about security as well, too. And I am committed to doing anything I can do from using my platform or my position in order to block this. And I'm going to fight for the steel workers and their union way of life here as well, too. And we cannot ever allow them to be screwed over or left behind.
Okay.
He sounds better, that's for sure.
Yeah, when he had that hospital stay and they were working on his brain, they must have taken the part out that causes the liberalism.
I guess so.
But, he didn't single out Japan. U.S. Steel should not be owned by any foreign company, especially Japan, okay? But no foreign company. And, this to me, this U.S. Steel deal to Japan is like when Hillary gave the uranium to the Russians.
I promise you Trump's going to talk about this in his next rally because I'm sure he thinks it's outrageous as well. And our whole country, do we even have a country anymore? We're selling all our farmland. We're selling all our big companies. All these other countries own big chunks and pieces. It's so different than from 100 years ago.
20 years ago.
Even 20 years ago.
And U.S.
Things have changed so much. It's awful.
We don't have a lot of industry here. And what they're going to do is they're going to move it to Japan because they're Japanese. Eventually, they'll have to probably keep something here. But over the course of time, U.S. Steel will disappear. And, you really, if you go back at the Second World War, during the Second World War, Americans didn't really do without because we manufactured everything here at home. And
we don't do that anymore.
And now not only do we not manufacture things here, we're dependent upon other countries, mostly enemy countries like China, to get our basic necessities. If a world war broke out like in the Second World War, we wouldn't make it. We would be starved out because our everything is made somewhere, China, Vietnam. Very little is made here. And, if a war broke out, like right now we have the smallest Navy we've had like since the First World War. Well, the Navy built up after Pearl Harbor big time with steel from U.S. Steel. If U.S. Steel is no longer here and we need to do a military buildup like we had to do even after 9/11.
How's that going to happen?
How are you going to do it if the Japanese have the steel? This is really twisted stuff.
That's scary.
I would like to think, generally I would say, well, this will be stopped. But with these sellouts like Biden running the country,
no.
All you got to do is give them a few bucks and U.S. Steel is gone.
That's right. They have no loyalty. They hate this country. They want to see it fail. They're in love with Europe and Asia and these other areas. They don't have our ideals and our love of country at all. It's the opposite.
Yeah, absolutely. And, the thing with Fetterman here, because these are two major issues that he has been red-pilled on. Stopping the sale of U.S. Steel and Menendez, the senator that took the bribes. And, Fetterman, I think what's happened with Fetterman, it's one thing to be some liberal activist back home and blabbering about things. Now that he's in Washington and he's seeing how bad it is there and what's going on, even Fetterman, who's like brain damaged, is waking up and is like, the things that these Democrats are doing is too far for even him.
Yep.
And I'm not saying he's going to become a Republican or anything. Nothing crazy like that's going to happen. But it's crazy. I never thought the day would come that I would agree with Fetterman. Now I agree with him twice. Menendez out and this. Pretty crazy. Now,
I want to say I just read this article. Tucker Carlson said in an interview that if Nikki Haley was Trump's VP, he would not vote for Trump. He said, I would rally against that. I would not vote for that ticket. And so that's not going to become Trump's pick. I mean, I think that's obvious. He said, I would not only not vote for that ticket, I would advocate against it as strongly as I could.
That's right.
He said when he was interviewed by Tim Pool, that's just poison. She's a neoliberal in the darkest, most, I never heard this word before, nihilistic way, and saying she has no real popular support. That's true. She's a creature of the oligarchs. Her joining Trump's campaign would be reason to oppose the ticket. So I don't think she's going to become the VP. I'm sure he's told Trump that, and Don Jr., between the two of them, he's not going to choose her. Anybody in the news speculating on that or talking about that. They just don't know what the hell they're talking about. I mean, it's not going to happen.
And,
I think Trump knows what's up.
What he's saying about Nikki Haley is what we all been saying, that she's just a spokesperson for the military-industrial complex.
Absolutely.
And she's very dangerous. But he said that not only would he not vote for Trump if Nikki Haley was his running mate, he would advocate against them.
Right.
Not just not vote for him, but advocate against him. So that's, she's done. Thankfully so. We don't want her around. That's too, Don Jr. last week.
Right,
and now
so
this.
Trump's not going to – he's going to pick Kristi Noem. That's my guess. I think that would be his best choice. She's likable. She's, has a job open. She's available for the job. And she's good on TV. People like her. She's very MAGA. And I think if he picks anybody else, he'd be making a huge mistake.
Yeah, he did also, Tucker Carlson in that same interview, who will Trump pick? And he didn't say he was going to pick this person, but he said, I like Vivek Ramaswamy.
Oh, gosh.
And a lot's being made of that.
Yeah.
And
see, I worry about that, Brian.
The reason he said that was a turning point with all the young people who love him.
You might be wrong about that.
I think Tucker said that just to get the crowd cheering.
You might be wrong about that. Maybe they really do like him, and maybe they really do think he's good.
If Trump picks him, we're stuck with him.
Well, it could be kind of a Lyndon Johnson thing. Kennedy didn't like Lyndon Johnson, but he picked him because he needed that Southern vote. And maybe they're going to pick him because they think, well, we need that young vote. Yeah. And if we put him on the ticket, that would be nuts.
The one thing that if he picks Vivek Ramaswamy, I'll support Vivek Ramaswamy.
Of course, we'll support whatever Trump says.
That's exactly right. But
because the goal is to get Trump in the White House.
The one thing that Ramaswamy has going against him with Trump picking him, and this may not apply to Trump, but historically, when people are picking running mates running for president, Ramaswamy is very charismatic, very popular on stage. Typically, you don't want to pick someone who is going to be your equal or outshine you on stage. Like if Trump picked Ramaswamy and then Ramaswamy came out and Ramaswamy got a bigger applause than Trump because of the crowd, Trump wouldn't. You don't want that kind of person as a running mate. You understand what I mean? Yeah. So he has that going against him. But I don't care who Donald Trump picks for vice president. I'm going to support them and Trump because,
But it does matter because we want somebody who can get elected after and somebody that we can trust.
I don't want him elected after.
And that's important. After. Otherwise everything Trump does is going to be for nothing because you'll get another Democrat in who's going to reverse, a Cuomo or a Newsom who'll take the country back in this dark direction. And then all hope is lost because there's not going to be another Trump, that's going to be strong enough to put up with this. Everybody else caves on things. He's the only guy I know who just never caves in.
That's right.
Just never caves in, no matter what they throw at him. He is the strongest guy I think I've ever seen person. And I think people even on the left admire that about the guy. They're like, you know what? This guy, they've thrown everything at this guy and he is still standing no matter what happens. And that is a special kind of person. Let me tell you, that is very, very rare. So anybody else would have cracked years ago.
So Reince Priebus, who was Trump's first chief of staff, was on ABC over the weekend talking about Trump. And at ABC, they got Trump derangement syndrome. They're very out of touch with reality. And he pointed something out to them that they just did not really want to hear. They don't comment on it too much, but when I saw this video, that's why I pulled the audio. Jonathan Karl and all these ABC jerks, they were like stunned. But what Reince Priebus said is spot on. Listen.
I remember you as RNC chair kind of fighting so hard to get him to condemn David Duke when David Duke endorsed him. And I remember you.
Okay, now I want to stop on that for a second. That was a big thing. David Duke was looking for publicity. He endorsed Trump. You don't have to go around and disapprove of everyone who endorses you. You do not have control over who says good things about you. And the reason the press wanted Trump to condemn David Duke is because to go out and condemn him after that ridiculous endorsement, then it gets the whole conversation, well, what is it about you that has David Duke endorsing you? You understand what I mean? So, that's just stupid. David Duke was just looking for publicity. But anyway, that's Jonathan Karl. Reince Priebus will come in after that.
In the White House, trying to, keep him within the guardrails. Do you worry that, as he rushes towards this nomination, that he's going off into those places that you tried to keep him from going?
Not particularly, because I think that
I think you're all misreading the electorate. I think that the electorate is not looking for less blood. I think they're looking for more blood. I think that people are more angry about crime than they've ever been before. I think they're more angry about the border, the fentanyl, the sanctuary cities, the boys competing against girls in sports, schools out of control. I think, as I've said before, people are looking for a bigger middle finger this time than they were in 2016. And I think,
so no matter how outrageous,
you're right about that. People are angry. And on the other side, you know, you got President Biden, who's losing young voters, who's losing black voters. The polling couldn't be worse. And unlike Barack Obama in 2011, Democrats would have walked over glass for Barack Obama. Democrats today, they say 75% we wish we had a different candidate. So it matters who you're running against, too. And it also matters what the state of the country's in. And this is a perfect storm.
Okay.
He's right about that because the media just focuses on Trump. Mm-hmm. Trump. They don't even think about what the electorate think.
No.
Or what's motivating us. They're totally have tunnel vision on Trump, destroying Trump, getting rid of Trump, defeating Trump. But they don't have a pulse on the nation and why Trump is doing so well. And I don't understand why Biden, well, I guess I do understand, but he's right. They're losing all the support because the country's a mess. Biden is a disaster. He's a horrible leader. And we knew this was going to happen, but the the voters are finally realizing it. Holy crap, you know, this is awful. We can't go another 4 years like this. And he's right. There's just, the schools are a mess. There's violence, more violence. The border is a problem. All these things are a problem. And they might not always want to support Trump, obviously the Democrats, but they think it's got to be better than what we're dealing with right now. It's, you know, at least he'll get things back to where they were, and you know what, they need to realize that they just don't have that pulse on
all these people in the media. That's what you say. They're so obsessed with Trump.
Yeah,
and
can't see past.
They don't understand how upset. Like right now, the southern border, there are more illegals at the southern border than any of the reporters they've ever seen. There's reporters
it's out of control
from different media outlets that are not aligned politically, every political spectrum, English, Spanish, liberal, conservative. And all of the reporters there have said they have never seen so many illegals at one time that are there right now. And up in New York, Jonathan Karl or Washington, wherever these people are, they just don't see what people care about because they're in
a major bubble.
This media elite bubble where everyone hates Trump and all they talk about is how much they hate Trump.
This is their life, the people at that level. They live in Manhattan in a fancy apartment. They get driven to work.
Yeah.
In a limousine or whatever, a company car. They go to work, they go on TV for an hour, 2 hours, and then they go and have their cocktail lunches or dinners and have drinks with their friends and go to the Hamptons on the weekends. These people do not live in the real world. They do not live in the real world. Mm-mm. They have nothing but disdain for people that live in the real world. They're snobs, and they're just totally out of touch. And these are the people who are disseminating their opinions that you should not be listening to because they have no clue what the world is really like and what we're going through. You know how if you have an illness like cancer or something you're dealing with. If you talk to somebody who's gone through cancer, they get it. They're like, I get it. They support you. They help you. They give you good advice.
Yeah.
If you talk to somebody who's never had cancer, they can help you and be empathetic, but they don't know what it's really like. Mm-hmm. And they're not going to be as helpful as somebody who's gone through it themselves. And these are people that have lost touch and they have no clue what we're dealing with. Their kids go to private schools that cost $50,000 a year. They don't have these issues at all. It's not even a concern for them.
Mm-hmm. Now, I want to take a moment to thank our Patreon supporters. And if you'd like to support the show, become a Patreon supporter. And when you become a financial supporter of the program through Patreon, you get access to exclusive content, including commercial-free editions of each and every podcast episode. Our top Patreon supporters get a live on-air thank you shout-out on every episode. The names you'll hear now are our top Patreon supporters. I want to thank Andrew and Connie, Christine, ETW, Chuck, D, Pamela, Maria in Texas, Richard, David, Heather, ActicFox, Rick, Nick, Wesley, Macho, Mike P., Carlos, Paulette, and John. These are our top Patreon supporters. Now, if you're interested in becoming a Patreon supporter, there's a link in the episode description, and there's also a direct link on my website, briancraigshow.com. My name's Brian, always joined by my wife and co-host Kathy. We'll be back right after this.
Enter a world where the unbelievable becomes reality. Award-winning film producer, director, and best-selling author Ray Griggs invites you to Tales Stranger Than Fiction, a premium audio podcast series like no other. When you add Tales Stranger Than Fiction to your playlist, you'll experience stories crafted in stunning 5.1 surround sound, immersing you in every suspenseful moment. Guided by Ray Griggs and set to the soul-stirring compositions of Max DiCarlo, this series brings narratives to life with an exceptional cast of voice talents. Inspired by iconic series like Suspense, Outer Limits, and Twilight Zone, Tales Stranger Than Fiction isn't just a podcast, it's an expedition to the edges of imagination and a ticket to alternate dimensions. Available on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, iHeartRadio, and wherever you get your podcast. Tales Stranger Than Fiction, where every episode is a journey beyond belief. Author Denise Lichtig is a woman of strength, facing the unexpected challenge of breast cancer, and she shares her powerful story in Symmetry in the Blue Buddha, available on Amazon. Author Denise Lichtig is a Chinese medicine practitioner. While training for the Tough Mudder, she discovered newfound physicality when her life took a turn. Symmetry in the Blue Buddha shares her journey through cancer, but it's also a voyage into the realms of energy medicine, spirituality, and self-discovery. This life-changing book is a guide for women navigating their own health challenges. The author's narrative offers insight into regaining personal power, facing fears, and making informed decisions about your health care. Join Denise Lichtig's journey of transformation and find strength in her words. Whether you or someone you love is on this path, her experience will inspire and empower you. This book is also perfect for book clubs. Symmetry in the Blue Buddha, available on Amazon in Kindle and paperback. Order your copy right now and embrace the journey to reclaim your power. Symmetry in the Blue Buddha, from author Denise Lichtig on Amazon. This Christmas, experience the magic of the season with the book Searching for Christmas from author Andre Herdoukas, available on Amazon. In Searching for Christmas, meet Ben, a young boy from an isolated orphanage who's never had the chance to experience the beauty of Christmas. But this year, everything changes. Ben embarks on a thrilling adventure to discover the holiday he's only dreamt of. To make his dream come true, he must conquer his fears and learn to play the accordion, hoping to charm the hearts of the townspeople. But his journey has its challenges. He must face the taunts of children in the orphanage and navigate the dangers of the forest on his way to the city. Along the way, Ben finds an unexpected friend in Dave, and together they learn the true meaning of friendship in the search for Christmas. Searching for Christmas is a touching story that will warm your heart and remind you of the joy and wonder that this magical season brings. Searching for Christmas is available in Kindle, paperback, and audiobook on Amazon. This will become a treasured part of the holiday season with your family. Order your copy of Searching for Christmas from author Andre Herdoukas, available on Amazon in ebook, paperback, and audiobook. From author Donna Silvera comes a book that's a journey into the mysteries of the end times, now available on Amazon. This is your last warning. For centuries, religions have prophesied the end of days. This must-read book discusses the vivid signs that our world is nearing its destiny. Drawing on the church's authority, the book examines text, apocalyptic visions, and contemporary revelations, connecting history and culture, offering a unique perspective on prophecies, deepening comprehension and relevance. Combining church teachings and prophecies, This Is Your Last Warning is a comprehensive narrative of what's to come. This Is Your Last Warning from author Donna Silvera is available on Amazon in Kindle and paperback. Order your copy right now.
You are listening to The Brian Craig Show podcast, broadcasting from sunny South Florida. Brian is joined by his wife and co-host, Kathy. Follow Brian on social media at briancraigshow.com. And now, Brian and Kathy.
Welcome back, everyone. I'm Brian, always joined by my wife and co-host Kathy. All right, so next month is the Iowa caucus, and you got New Hampshire, South Carolina, then it all starts happening. And Trump is so far ahead. This is going to be settled real quick. Listen to this.
Oh, yeah.
Donald Trump will secure the Republican nomination for president by March 19th because of his huge lead in the polls. This is out of the from the Trump campaign. The Trump team believes that President Trump will have 1,478 delegates just 2 weeks after the crucial Super Tuesday primaries. This is a senior Trump aide that is predicting this. That would be more than enough delegates needed to win a majority of the total 2,429 delegates at the Republican National Convention to secure the nomination. President Trump has been ahead of his closest rivals, Nikki Haley and Ron DeSantis, by as much as 50 points in some polls. He's dominating in Iowa and New Hampshire, and that's where this is coming from. And they're still not giving up because why? I don't know. But that for some reason, DeSantis and Nikki Haley are hanging in there. Nikki Haley, she may think she could be picked to be vice president, which we don't think that's going to happen. But Ron DeSantis,
never going to happen.
Ron DeSantis just loves to be.
So what's going to happen in Iowa when Trump trounces these people? Okay, well, are they still going to hang in there like Jeb Bush?
This is what they'll tell themselves.
What's going to go on?
If you, in 20,
it's crazy.
In 2016, Trump lost Iowa to Ted Cruz.
Oh, wow.
And the media were rejoicing. Oh, they thought it was over. You know, the
I remember that.
But then he came back and won everything. You know, after that, and he did well. You know, so what they'll do is whoever comes in second place, they'll say, "Well, Trump came in second place, and look what happened then." So we still have. They're like a man on a ledge who's hanging on for life, and he knows he can't hang on for much longer, but he's still fighting. That's what they're like. Nikki,
my prediction with DeSantis, and I've said this before, I think he's going to grovel to MAGA because he knows his career's over politically, and he doesn't want it to be over. And I think he's going to grovel to Trump and to MAGA and apologize and say I was wrong and try to get not a VP. That's not going to happen, but. Maybe he tried that, but try to get a position somewhere with Trump on the cabinet or something. Attorney General, he is a lawyer. I don't know. I think, he's not rational. And I think he's going to grovel and beg for forgiveness. What do you think? He's got to. And I don't think it'll work, but I think that's his plan.
I saw him.
I could see his wife telling him, you've got to go beg MAGA for forgiveness.
I saw a clip of him. He was on Morning Joe yesterday. I saw a clip on Twitter of him there, and he was sucking up and fitting in really well with them.
So maybe he's thinking he'll get a job as a pundit.
He's still
on
governor.
CNN or MSNBC when this is all over.
He's still governor for 3 more years.
But he's still got to think of his future. He's a young guy. He's got 3 kids.
He would have to resign as governor to be a pundit.
No, I'm saying when that's over. You don't think he's thinking a few years ahead of time? No. What am I going to do?
By the time he's governor, his term is up, he's going to be such a has-been, they're not even going to want him. If he
might run again.
If he were not, he's term limited. He'll be governor 2 terms.
No, for president. He might run again president.
Nah. It'll be a loser, worse then than now. But if he were not in office now, they might hire him to do commentary because he'd be out there hating on Trump and they hate Trump. But he's got to.
Then he won't be useful.
He's got to come back and be governor still. So not going to be fun. Because I really worry about that because when he comes back to Florida to be governor, he's going to be so mad at us here in Florida because we're in large part responsible for this. And I was talking to Kathy about this. Ron DeSantis, every day he's in Iowa. I think he's been living in Iowa. And
I think you're right.
I don't know if he has a residence or if he just stays in hotels, but. This is such an example of the media, how they don't do any reporting. I think it would be a fascinating story that would do incredible damage to him to find out how little time he's spending in Florida, right?
I agree.
And if he's living if the governor of Florida has been pretty much living in Iowa, I think people here in Florida, we should know that.
I agree.
And it's not about tax dollars and all that stuff. He has just ignored us. I was talking this morning about this really god-awful fight at Marjorie Stoneman Douglas where they had the school shooting in Parkland years ago where it was a racial fight. And I'm not going to go through that. I talked about it on the morning stream for 2 hours today. It's very good. If you missed that, go and watch it. But it's an international story because it's the same school the Parkland shooting happened, and it's being covered everywhere around the world. DeSantis should come home to Florida and deal with that.
Yeah.
There's a big problem at that school with this fight. But he's too centered now on Iowa. It's another example of him abandoning Florida. And all these people who say he's a great governor, that was 3 years ago. The last year he's been checked out. And we were talking on one of the podcasts last week, a lot of these people that are new to Florida, that are celebrities like that are in the news, like Mark Levin and these guys, they moved to Florida from these Democrat states, and they think that they've discovered, I tell Kathy all the time, they all think they're Ponce de Leon, that like they just discovered this paradise of Florida.
Yeah.
Florida has always been like this. It's always been a great state with lots of freedom. And it's new to you if you're from California or New York or something, and you come down here and live. It's a lot, and plus the weather and everything, and the visuals are beautiful. But if you come from one of these Democrat states up north where it's freezing and snowing and there's sleet and liberals and homeless camped out all over the place and all this stuff, and you come to Florida, you wow, this is paradise. But Ron DeSantis didn't do that. Okay, Florida has always been like this.
Yeah,
you know,
exactly.
and Ron DeSantis takes credit for Florida. Like, for example,
well,
he keeps
what
saying,
happened is he kind of got lucky.
Yeah.
Because of COVID, a lot of people were leaving more restrictive places like New York and California, and he was more open to businesses and helping with that, okay, and being less restrictive.
Yeah.
So he really helped him in a weird way to get people to come here. So we had this huge influx of people right after COVID. I mean, we had record number of housing sales and everything. Everybody was moving here. Businesses were moving here. And he was like very into that and bringing people here and tax breaks and all this stuff. And it was great. But then he kind of left things, like you said, and now it's the flip side. Now interest rates are so high. Of course, now they're going to go back down. And the issues with insurance and all this stuff. Now, a lot of those people that moved here are leaving. They're like, you know what? I made a mistake. And that's not all his fault. Things do happen, like with the insurance is a big problem. But he's not really trying to fix anything. He's not really present.
Yeah. Well,
but the virus and all that kind of helped him because people were coming here so much, and made it look like this is a haven. Well,
keeps saying,
you're right, Florida's always been great.
He keeps saying, well, there were no vaccine mandates in Florida. That's not true. Not by the government. But I know people. I know someone at a radio station that had to get vaccinated to keep their job at a radio station here in Florida. Mm-hmm. And people that worked at companies all over Florida. Now, it may not have been legal, but what are you going to do, right? I mean, they had to eat, and they got it. And I know one person in particular who did not want to get vaccinated, and he did because he was going to lose his job. DeSantis also, DeSantis acts like when he's talking to people that he was against the vaccines. That's not true. While he didn't have a mandate, thankfully, Governor DeSantis set up a very organized distribution to get vaccinated, and he did it by age. He started with the oldest people who could only get it first when they were back. Then he went down. Then he went. And he set up in fact, he partnered with the largest grocery chain in Florida, Publix, and set up Publix as vaccination centers because 80% or more of seniors in Florida live within a couple miles of a Publix. Right. And so we set up vaccination centers at Publix. But so he acts like he was anti-vaccine. He was not anti-vaccine. Okay, that is. He didn't require a mandate.
True.
But he was not anti-vaccine, but he implies that he is. And Tucker Carlson, when he was in this Tim Pool interview, I played some clips this morning about it, but one of the things Tucker Carlson pointed out is that, and this is really frightening, Ron DeSantis was against U.S. involvement in Ukraine, which, of course, I am, but one donor donated money to him and wanted him to be pro-involvement in Ukraine, and he switched his whole position, Ron DeSantis. Tucker was talking about that. So when you have a guy like that, Ron DeSantis, one donor gives money to him, and all of a sudden he changes that's a major policy position that could start the Third World War, that's a dangerous, dangerous man. All right, now listen, we're going to take a quick break. Oh, man, do not miss the next segment. I got something really big for you in the next segment, all right? I'm Brian. Always joined by my wife and co-host Kathy. We'll be right back.
This Christmas, give the gift of creativity, imagination, and endless fun with B-Blocks Building Blocks, available on Amazon. B-Blocks Building Blocks isn't just a fun gift, but it's educational too. It's a STEM toy of 500 pieces. That's right, 500 pieces to ignite your little one's creativity. Children will be introduced to a world of colors, shapes, and designs. They'll learn to play and create with 8 vibrant colors. From enhancing fine motor skills to exploring basic geometry and architecture, B-Blocks Building Blocks is fun and a powerful learning tool. And they click securely together, too. They're safe and cool. Perfect for boys and girls. And this is a gift they'll cherish for years to come. B-Blocks Building Blocks are available in the B-Blocks store on Amazon. Just search B-Blocks. B-E-B-L-O-X. B-Blocks Building Blocks. Because every child deserves the best. Only in the B-Blocks store on Amazon. Order your child's set right now. From author Stephanie Tayo comes a book that takes place in Cornwall, Ontario, where it seems that dreams can come true and life feels uncomplicated. But one young woman's world is about to be forever transformed. Love Beyond Age, available on Amazon, Barnes & Noble, and other online booksellers. In Love Beyond Age, meet Quinn. She's a determined soul with aspirations of becoming a psychologist. She shares a simple life with her dad, saving every penny for her dreams. But life has a way of throwing unexpected curveballs. Everything changes when she crosses paths with James, whose presence by the river ignites a connection neither can deny. As their university journeys begin, Quinn finds herself torn between her deepening connection with the mysterious James and her growing feelings for her competitive friend Jasper. Secrets are unveiled, revelations come to light, and Quinn discovers a shocking truth about James' hidden secret. As danger lurks on the horizon, relationships are put to the test, and old emotions resurface. A love triangle takes hold, pushing Quinn to the brink. She faces a choice that will shape her future and define her path. Love Beyond Age, from author Stephanie Tayo, is a story of love, secrets, and choices that will tug at your heartstrings. Available on Amazon, Barnes & Noble, Kobo, Apple Books, and other online booksellers. Order your copy right now and be transported to a world where romance is intertwined with the complexities of life. Love Beyond Age, from author Stephanie Tayo. Order your copy right now. Add a splash of color to your life with the Etsy shop Popular Coloring Art. Popular Coloring Art on Etsy have a huge selection of coloring pages and wall art, and everything is available for digital download. Whether you're a kid or adult, their high-quality artwork is designed to bring out the artist in you. Popular Coloring Art on Etsy have beautiful wall art for the holidays featuring Santa and Mrs. Claus. But that's not all. They also have coloring pages for Christmas, pet lovers, vintage cars, fairies, cat lovers, dog lovers, birds, nature enthusiasts, travel buffs, and so much more. Discover unique coloring pages that will ignite your artistic creativity, no matter how young or old. Popular Coloring Art on Etsy, online at popularcoloringart.etsy.com. That's popularcoloringart.etsy.com. High quality and unique coloring pages for kids and adults. Go to the shop right now. Explore the collection. You will be impressed. popularcoloringart.etsy.com. Is your computer running slow, filled with viruses, broken? If you think you need a new computer, don't buy one until you talk to the computer repair experts at PCFixTX.com. With over 2 decades of experience, PCFixTX.com has the skills and knowledge to diagnose and repair your computer issues, and that can save you a lot of money. PCFixTX.com have a wide range of services beyond computer repair. They can back up your data. Need a professional website for your business? They can design it. Have an app idea? They can make that happen too. PCFixTX.com is your one-stop shop for all things tech. They can help with virus removal. They provide top-notch SEO services. They can even design eye-catching logos. With over 2 decades of experience, their passionate team can solve your tech problems and do it at prices that won't break the bank. PCFixTX.com do it all. Computer repair, website design, online classes, fraud prevention, and more. Book your appointment online at PCFixTX.com or call them directly. 210-401-0302. PCFixTX.com.
You are listening to The Brian Craig Show podcast, broadcasting from sunny South Florida. Brian is joined by his wife and co-host, Kathy. Follow Brian on social media at briancraigshow.com. And now, Brian and Kathy.
Welcome back, everyone. I'm Brian, always joined by my wife and co-host, Kathy. Thanks so much, everyone, for tuning in. All right, so Nikki Haley stepped into it. She's getting really desperate. And, you know, she's surrounded by all the uniparty people now because they've abandoned DeSantis. Mm-hmm. They're not with Chris Christie. She's their last hope right now until their next scheme. So she's getting advice from all of these uniparty Trump haters, you know, the Bushes and the Karl Rove types. And she gave an interview to David Brody, who is with the Christian Broadcasting Network. Okay, and so I'm going to play this. The first voice you hear is him, and then you hear her, which you'll know. And of course, what are they talking about? Are they talking about issues? They're talking about Trump, because that's, you know, it's and not only are they talking about Trump, there's confusion for Nikki Haley. Nikki Haley, it's really funny when you hear this. She does not understand why people love Trump. So they're talking about how she can convince MAGA people to drop Trump for her, which really tells you how arrogant she is. So listen to this. It's the Christian broadcaster guy with Nikki Haley.
How do you convince folks in MAGA, and let's be honest, there are different strains of MAGA. I like to call it light pink.
Really? There's different strains of no. Oh you're either God. MAGA or you're not. That's MAGA.
Exactly right.
There's no strains of MAGA. There's MAGA and then there's fake MAGA.
Yep.
Okay. DeSantis used to be fake MAGA. We found out we're on to him. There's no different strains of MAGA, and it's an interesting. This is the guy for the Christian Broadcasting Network.
Wow.
It's done with them. Not that I follow them, but watch out for those guys. It's interesting to listen to this stuff.
To get a clue how they think.
You get you're getting an inside look at how the Uniparty, the Weekly Standard crowd that hate us, how they view us.
Right.
And they actually believe that like there's uber MAGA and then there's light MAGA, barely MAGA, hardly MAGA,
right.
And that they can do things to pick off. They're out of, there's none of this stuff exists. But let's get back to it.
How do you convince folks in MAGA, and let's be honest, there are different strains of MAGA. I like to call it light pink, red, and a little bit dark. How do you go ahead and try to convince at least people that are willing to listen to you that they need to ditch Donald Trump because they're in on Trump and go with you?
Well, first of all, I don't think we need to label members of the Republican Party. I think that's happened for too long. I think that we are a country of freedom-loving Americans that want to see government just continue to do what it's supposed to do. Government was intended to secure the rights and freedoms of the people. It was never meant to be all things to all people. So if we're going back to the basics, but what I will tell you is, I think President Trump was the right president at the right time. I agree with a lot of his policies. I had a good working relationship with him. But rightly or wrongly, chaos follows him. We all know that. Chaos follows him. And we can't be
been part of that.
But we can't be a country in disarray and have a world on fire and make it through 4 years of chaos. We can't. I said rightly or wrongly. So it could be, all I know is we need stability and we need strength and we need to start answering the issues of tomorrow and not looking back to the past. And we can't keep going back to that negativity and baggage of the past. We've got too much at stake. And look, I'm doing this because I don't want my kids to live like this anymore. I want them to have a country that they can be proud of. I want to know that.
Okay, now let me go back. Let me stop here. First, she says there's chaos follows him. The reason chaos follows him is because he gets crap done and doesn't cave to the Democrats.
Well, the guy said it there. He said, well, that's the left. They're creating the chaos.
Yeah. So, if there's no chaos, that means you're going along with the left.
He's not creating the chaos. It's the liberal media.
That's right.
That's
They're the ones that burn down the cities.
And making things up and creating the chaos around him that really isn't there.
Exactly. All right. I rewound a little bit because I should have stopped there. So let me go back.
And make it through 4 years of chaos. We can't. I said rightly or wrongly. So it could be, all I know is we need stability. And
what does she mean we need stability? I don't know. I don't know what that means.
We need strength And we need to start answering the issues of tomorrow and not looking back to the past.
See, this is
empty platitudes.
This is the thing about these candidates. Yeah, you're right, Kathy. Donald Trump says, okay, there's no southern border. We're going to finish the wall to Puerto Rico. What you get from these people are these vague generality platitudes. We need to look to the future and not the past and do the future together, and we can get the big things done if we look to the...
Like Kennedy.
She's saying nothing. Exactly.
That's what he said.
She's saying nothing.
Right.
Nothing.
And we can't keep going back to that negativity and baggage of the past. We've got too much at stake. And look, I'm doing this because I don't want my kids to live like this.
Yeah. She doesn't want her kids to live like this. She's only worth $8 million now. She wants her kids to live while they're worth $80 million. They can't live like this. $8 million.
Exactly.
We're going to burn through that because we were broke a couple years ago. We've been buying things, so they can't continue to live like this. I need $80 million, so elect me.
Anymore. I want them to have a country that they can be proud of.
So with Donald Trump, they're not proud of the country? First off, the country isn't about any single leader. Joe Biden is all the terrible things we talk about all the time. It doesn't mean we're not proud of America.
Exactly.
We're disgusted and humiliated, embarrassed that he's our leader.
Yeah.
But we're still proud of the country. We can only be proud of the country if she's the president.
We've got too much at stake. And look, I'm doing this because I don't want my kids to live like this anymore. I want them to have a country that they can be proud of. I want to know that they can live a better life. Right now, 81% of Americans don't think their kids are going to have as good of a life as we did.
Because of Joe Biden.
We can't be okay with that. I'm not okay with that. We have a country to save, but we have an opportunity to get this right. And I'm telling you, I'm going to put everything I've got into it to make sure that not only do we win, but when we win, that we lead in a way that makes Americans proud. They deserve that.
Okay. I think Nikki Haley is so full of herself and at the same time so stupid. She doesn't realize that she doesn't say anything.
No.
She does not give one specific thing that she's going to do. No. She'll feel better if Trump doesn't win because she's running against him. And that's what's important in her family. I'm doing this for my kids. That is a very out-of-touch lunatic woman.
Well, the fact if she's doing it for her kids, that's the wrong reason to run. You do it for the American people.
Yeah.
I mean, you don't run for your kids.
Well, they're
this part of it, but that's just a weird thing to say to me.
She's running this amateurish campaign like she's running for city council in South Carolina somewhere, where she thinks it's a big deal that she's a mother and has children. Yeah. Everybody has kids. Okay, you're not special. Nikki Haley thinks she's a special person because she's a woman who's been – a lot of women have done a lot more than she's done. It's no big deal. It's 2023. It's not 1923. If it was 1923 and you were a woman –
well, that's how she built her whole career.
And you were
she's stuck on repeat.
And you were a governor or a UN – she's like – she talks like Hillary Clinton.
Yeah.
Doesn't she?
Yeah.
Boy, oh boy. I hope she's nowhere near Trump in his second term.
No,
really.
She won't be.
Nowhere near. You know what he should do? What is, maybe make her ambassador to the most miserable country in the world. What's the coldest country in the world where it never stops snowing, that it's like sub-zero? Icicle land. I don't know.
Icicle land. Does the Antarctica have an ambassador?
Oh, my goodness.
Yeah.
Or, because the reason I say that is she's going to be on television nonstop attacking him. Yeah, so when she's out, what she'll end up doing is she'll be working for Fox or something, and she'll be on TV analyzing Trump's whole second term, trashing him.
Well, Trump said something about Ron DeSantis.
Oh, kinky boots.
He said, DeSantis' campaign is a terrible experience for staffers.
Yeah.
This is in The Hill. Former President Trump on Tuesday ripped DeSantis over recent high-level personnel departures and claimed staffers were having a terrible experience. The Ron DeSanctimonious team of misfits and grifters has largely quit his campaign to go on to greener pastures. He wrote Tuesday on True Social. It has been a terrible experience for them as they have watched their candidate fall violently from the sky like a wounded bird.
Yeah.
That tells me that they're coming to him and begging for jobs.
Yeah. Yeah.
Which is what you're going to see happening.
Yeah. Yeah, no doubt about it.
Groveling.
Well, yeah, it's miserable when you're losing.
Yep.
And you've burned all the bridges with the people that are winning, the Trump people. Right now, as we are speaking, there's another insurrection at the Capitol. Pro-terrorist, pro-Hamas, anti-Israeli insurrectionist. Marjorie Taylor Greene tweeted this, have burst into the Capitol and trying to shut down government business. I wonder if they're going to be arrested.
Wow. Probably not.
Yeah. I saw someone today. They said it was a Muslim spokesperson for some activist group. I can't remember who it was. I saw them on Twitter, and they said, Biden's going to lose the Muslim vote. In the post 9/11 world, do you really want a political party and a president who's advocating for the Muslim vote? I mean, so who wants that vote? To get the Muslim vote, what do you have to do?
They want any vote.
And when I saw that, I'm like, they think that resonates with people. Oh, well, he's going to lose the Muslim vote. Oh, well. Yeah, I mean, that I couldn't believe she had on September 12th, if I would have told you in 2023, the president in 2023 would be doing outreach to get the Muslim vote, you would have said, Brian, you're out of your mind. That's never going to happen. Well, here we are.
Yep.
I mean, could you imagine in the 60s, because that would be the equivalent difference after Pearl Harbor, if you saw a Japanese person on television who says, well, the president's going to lose the Japanese vote here in 1963, people would be like, well, who wants that?
Yeah.
Remember Pearl Harbor? It's another example of the Democrats. All they do is reach out and want to make friends with our enemies and help people in other countries, as opposed to this one. And, this pro-terrorist, pro-Hamas insurrection going on in the Capitol, is this the third one since Hamas attacked Israel? I don't know. I've lost track. It's the second, the third one? It seems to be a pretty regular occurrence. Why are they not being arrested? Why are they not in the D.C. gulag? Why is it just MAGA people?
I think we know why.
Exactly. Now, I want to tell you guys that at MyPillow.com, when you use our promo code Kane, of course, you can use our promo code on all the specials at MyPillow.com. But, it's wintertime. It's pretty cold. There's huge specials on their blankets, their comforters. They have down comforters. They have non-down comforters. They have blankets, all kinds of things. And there's huge discounts on all their blankets, all their comforters, the down comforters. And, in the down comforters, this is an amazing thing. I just learned this today. Mike Lindell sent me some new information about, some of his blankets and stuff. Do you know Mike Lindell hand select the feathers for the down comforters?
Wow.
They only get the best. They get the smallest feathers.
I believe it.
So that you get the best softness. Because if you get feathers that are too big, they don't, it's a mess. So he hand picks the feathers for his down comforters.
Wow.
I don't know how he has time to do it, but I didn't even think of something like that. But Mike Lindell
his stuff's really high quality. You could tell he really cares.
Everything is.
Yeah, he really cares.
And all the MyPillow products we have, from the slippers to the sheets, everything, the pet beds, it's all like the day we got it. The towels, it's all very high quality. Our daughter got a new kitten in California, and she sent me a picture of the kitten on her bed, and I posted it on my Instagram. The kitten is sleeping on top of a MyPillow and underneath another MyPillow. There's like a little tunnel on the bed with MyPillow. She is in between two MyPillows. I couldn't believe it. And
he.
Oh, it's a he?
It's a boy cat.
Oh, okay. Yeah. She got a boy cat.
Haku. Haku.
Okay. Well, he's on top of one MyPillow, under another MyPillow. You can see it on my Instagram, Brian Craig Show on Instagram. But listen, anytime you go to MyPillow.com and use our promo code Kane at checkout, Kane, you're supporting this program and all the content that I'm connected to. The podcast, my YouTube channel, the radio show in the morning, and it means a lot. It helps a lot. I said on yesterday's show that Mike Lindell's people reached out to me a couple days ago to tell you all thank you for your support, that they in this audience, you guys, you do such a good job supporting us through purchasing MyPillow products that they call and tell me that you guys buy a lot of stuff, and it is greatly appreciated. It's really amazing. And, of course, we use all these products that we talk about. We have so many MyPillows and everything. You can never have enough MyPillows. You really can't, because sometimes I want to go sit on the couch or lay on the couch and watch TV. I'll take a MyPillow out on the couch, right? For your guest beds and everything else. And I know it's a little late for Christmas because we're just a few days away for Christmas, but the discounts going on during Christmas are so good. You might want to start buying things for Mother's Day and Father's Day and some birthdays, because there are some incredible discounts going on right now with our promo code Kane at checkout, Kane. You can save up to 80% off on MyPillow products. And remember, you're supporting all of the content I bring to you, I'm connected to, and of course, you're supporting the great Mike Lindell. and the great Americans that work for him. Well, listen, guys, we're out of time for today. We will be back next time. And I hope Nikki Haley does more interviews because every time she does an interview like that, she's going to lose more and more support.
Yep. She's running for her kids.
She's running for her kids.
To make sure they have a better life.
That's what's well, they already have a better life. She was bankrupt a couple years ago. Now she's worth $8 million.
Yeah. Well, now we know her true motivation in running.
But what happens with people like that, I haven't had this problem. She had a windfall of cash, like a lottery winner.
Yeah.
So what do? They go buy a new house.
They go through it real quick.
They all got to get new cars. She needs a new car. Her husband needs a new car. Kids need new cars. And the next thing you know, you're not a millionaire anymore.
That's right.
You know, it goes quick. You know, that $8 million.
I think that was a small moment of truth.
Yeah.
She's running for her kids, not because she wants to have a better country, but because she's got monetary motivations here.
Just like Joe Biden. And the way she can do that is to wage war, and the military-industrial complex will take care of it.
That's how she's rationalized it in her head. Well, I'm giving my kids a better life, so it's okay that I'm taking all this money.
Let me tell you, she's just like DeSantis. One donor gives him money, all of a sudden he's in favor of U.S. involvement in the Ukraine war.
Yeah, that's how it works.
And exactly. And his kids are young. By the time they're in the service, that'll be long gone.
They're corruptible.
Nikki Haley, her kids will probably be like Hunter. They'll probably be on the boards of Boeing or something. You know what I mean? You know, because she would be in office and she wouldn't be able to actually be on the board, so her kids would have to do it, or her husband. I don't know. But she's, I'll just say this before we go. DeSantis and Nikki Haley, okay? Nikki Haley's cashed in more than DeSantis because he's in office still. Mm-hmm. But these are two people that are not wealthy, that these very evil doers have recruited. And DeSantis and Nikki Haley have made deals with the devils.
Well, plus, I think she knows she's not going to win, and she's going for that final cash grab.
Yeah.
As long as she's got a hope, and as long as the media puts hope in her, she can profit off of that. But once, like with DeSantis, once they're done with you, that's it. You're done. They're cut off. Right. It's over. So I think she's going for that final cash grab this last month because I think she knows that it's not going to last much longer.
This whole thing that they think that there's different strains of MAGA, like we're a disease. And
exactly.
And some of us have it really hard, but there's some that barely have it, right?
Yeah, that's funny.
They're just symptomatic. They're MAGA positive, but show no symptoms or something. I don't know what that means. Well, listen, we are out of time. We will be back next time. I'm Brian Craig, always joined by my wife and co-host Kathy. We'll talk to you next time.